TJ, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here.
Excited to have you on.
I'm not really sure.
Are you excited
how
to
this
be
is
on?
going to go? I'm super excited. I'm so excited.
You're not excited. I don't feel it. I need you to get into it.
I'm there. This is my
Aaron,
excited
are
face.
you happy to have TJ on?
I am. I think it's going to be a funny show.
Oh, now there's.
Let's go. Let's hear some
Expectations.
jokes. Let's hear
I don't
some
have the jokes. I'm better at making fun of people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, rather than
Somehow.
Got any stories about Aaron?
Oh, gosh.
you.
There's
Most
a lot at my
of our
expense.
clients have heard them all. But yeah,
Oh, really?
there's pictures. There's everything.
Oh.
Yeah, there's every time we go riding dirt bikes,
Oh.
I'm being humble, minding my own business, and he somehow finds a way to park in front of us all. We hang out and we talk. Everything's normal, and then he starts up and dumps the clutch. Look, he just giggled to himself.
There was one time you got really mad.
He literally giggled.
Normally you laughed. And
But- That one time, I think is because it was one, sewer mud. 2, my mouth was open.
You-
3, I did not have a helmet on.
you just bought. You had a helmet on, but you just bought that helmet.
Oh, yeah. Look, he's giggling.
Yeah, that was.
You know what's funny?
He's
You know-
like, yeah, that was great. That
You
was
know
great.
what's
was.
funny is the one time I've ridden with TJ once,
Only once all
Once.
these years?
he roosted me on that.
Just wanted to
This
see what
is the
kind of a
thing.
man you were. So you could take a joke.
I loved it. I was just always in the back, so I could never get up there and roost anybody else.
No,
So
I remember when we took all the cars and motorcycles and we did the Dragon Run.
Yeah.
For all those that don't know, first we gotta catch everybody up.
Yeah.
A roost is when a quote unquote irresponsible person is at the front.
Oh, very responsible.
Very responsible.
Responsible. A jokester, a practical joker.
And strategically places the rear tire in mud, water, whatever, that someone else would not like on their face. And then make sure that they point said motorcycle's rear end in that direction, applies throttle, drops clutch, causes wheel spin, and debris to then land on the
Yeah, it's good fun.
The following member.
It's a sign of affection,
Affection.
brotherly love.
Yeah, Aaron always enjoyed it. I think, except for that one time. Joe never
Never.
liked it. No,
Under the surface, though.
Joe's my brother, for those that
Yeah.
don't know.
normally it's probably because we're on a gravel road.
Oh, and it hurt.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's pain involved. Now, when we did the cars, I think I was on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
You were in a car.
He was in a
They were
car.
about 50-50. Half of us were in cars, half of us were in motorcycles. And I remember we had this big talk and we were like, we're all going to be responsible. And we're at this like Walmart parking lot out in East Tennessee going to North Carolina border. And we're like, we're not going to do anything crazy. We start driving and we get out in front of that Walmart. And I still remember our buddy Corey, like 45 seconds in, he takes off down the turning lane, passing everybody. Old J-Po cuts out, starts passing him. We start shooting up this 4-lane road, going up a long turn to the right. I still remember you leaning over on that bike all the way around that turn, dragging
The
that
yellow
knee.
bike.
And there was
Yeah.
logging trucks coming down, and I was just shaking my head, going, "Oh my gosh!"
We ignored that conversation as soon as that came out.
I thought we
don't
were all
remember
serious.
who said it.
We
but-
would be so responsible.
yeah, no, we
No.
said, hey, this year we're going to take it easy and like
Yeah.
warm up.
it's always how it starts.
That we did not warm up. We went straight in.
No, we didn't.
We calmed down when we got pulled over.
I
trying
think-
Do you remember
I'm
that?
trying to think what I can
So
talk about.
I remember.
because this is just going to go on record.
Oh, it's fine.
They cleared you guys in the court. Didn't?
Well, what happened was
Oh no,
we got
Corey.
all. You're like, oh no, that's that time you were in jail
Yeah.
for 4 weeks. No,
That was that time.
but I remember we were flying, and I was going faster than everybody, but my bike didn't look like it went fast. And
Wait
so
a minute.
no, it's true.
Wait a minute, this is how it normally
I can
goes.
guarantee this. And I got to the end, and I started feeling like I had that feeling. You know, you can just kind of feel like a cop could be there. I just had that feeling like maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. And I let off the gas and just started cruising. And as soon as I did, there's a dude, doors open. He's got his gun up on the door, using it as like a resting spot with it shooting, pointing. And I was like, oh my gosh, guys, slow down, slow down.
Not a real gun. It was
Yeah,
a
radar.
laser-
oh, that
radar.
was in Georgia.
radar
That
gun.
was Wolfpen Gap.
Yes.
No. Wolfpen Gap is Arkansas.
Oh no, not Wolfpen
That's
Gap.
was Georgia.
Devil's.
It
Devil's Mountain or something.
Yeah, Blood Mountain.
Devil's Mountain.
I think it's
Blood Mountain, Devil's Mountain.
something bad mountain.
Satan's back.
Bad things happen on that mountain. That's all I gotta say.
Maybe it's the Devil's back.
I almost lost my license. I'll never
But
go
I just
back.
remember I passed him. I got to the stop sign, took a left, and parked to the gas station. And I can hear y'all coming. I'm like, slow down, slow down. And I hear this womp, womp, womp. And I hear womp, and I hear the next one. And I hear all the motorcycles, all the cars, and all of y'all are stopped at once in one big group. And y'all start texting me. And then I remember they thought Joe was dead. They thought his license wasn't accurate.
That was the one where they had a bolo out for us. And so they posted up at the end of that road.
Yes.
And that guy was
mad.
Yeah, but Corey told some jokes.
Corey did tell some jokes. That guy was actually really funny because, maybe I don't know. I may cut this out. But when we got to the end of that road, that guy's standing there, and I kid you not, one of his eyes was going this way, one was going this way, and I was like, "Oh man, this kind of cop, we're in trouble."
We're in trouble.
But we ended up with him going, "I've run the fastest on this road in my pickup truck.
Oh yeah,
I run it at 100 miles an hour."
Oh,
He started
my
telling
goodness.
you guys his F-250 would go faster than any motorcycle over the top of that mountain, and
We
everything
agreed.
else.
I
And
believed him.
Yeah.
you said,
Couldn't
"Yes,
argue
sir.
that.
Yes, sir. I can tell."
Yeah,
You're
he
a
saw
NASCAR driver.
your sewing machine BMW come by. He's like, "This guy can't be going that fast."
No, I do remember that was stressful. I was down at that gas station pacing, and some of you guys that weren't. I guess there was about 8 or 9 of us on that trip, and 2 or 3 were at the back of the pack talking, and 5 or 6 were at the front talking with the cop, and they were like, "Whatever you do, Aaron, don't come back up here. Stay down there." And I think everybody got off that day. I don't think that anybody actually
nobody
got a
got
ticket.
Yeah, nobody got.
But I do remember Joe was coming back as deceased, and he's like, "That's
Oh, yeah.
crap. I'm standing here. This is crazy."
that made us sit there for a very long
I
time.
think y'all were up there an hour.
It was
more than that. But yeah, so we
had some good times.
So we've been into some trouble together. We like to
We're
roost our
best friends.
friends. We like to keep it real.
Have a good time.
How long have y'all known each other?
20 years.
2004. So yeah,
20 years, November.
How'd y'all meet?
back when we were in the warehouse through a mutual friend.
Oh,
you went to church
Southeast
with.
Parkway?
Southeast Parkway. So those that don't know, let's just go all the way down memory
Let's
lane.
go all the way back.
Jay worked for me before TJ worked for me. And Jay, I don't know what his issue was. After like 4 or 5 weeks of no
hear this.
paycheck, he
Yeah,
finally
I
was
hear
like,
this.
"I gotta go." I'm like, "Dude, what's your problem?" And Jay left. I want to say he's probably end of spring, probably April, May, June,
Yeah.
somewhere around there. And TJ arrived in November.
Oh,
And I
okay.
only had that little window. And once TJ got there, I think we probably stayed pretty small until we got coaching till 6 or 7, 06, 07, somewhere around then.
Yeah. Well,
How long do you think?
probably 6.
6,
06.
a year and a half before we probably started doing coaching.
Mhm.
Wow.
So you left and you came around. We were probably only doing 30, 35 grand a month
Yes.
in the warehouse.
Wasn't a lot.
Had
Yeah,
you been
well-
in a shop before that, or was that your first?
No. So, I have a diesel mechanic background. Went to a vocational school and learned diesel mechanics there. Didn't really care for school much. And then I got a job while I was in school, went to a rock mine working on heavy equipment.
Oh,
And then,
remember that story.
yeah. And then,
Is there a story there?
He was filling one of them up with oil. Didn't you go on like a lunch break?
yeah,
And you
I've made
came
some
back?
mistakes.
Oh, I want to hear this.
What happened?
Well, there's other things involved in that. I don't know how much I should tell.
You shouldn't tell the other thing.
Okay.
'Cause I wouldn't tell him. I think it's funny. But
Well, so I would I was the grease monkey. So I would grease up all the heavy equipment when it came in from a long night, and I get them all prepared for the next day. Right. And there was some, what we called the big dump trucks called Euclids. And they had these huge, I want to say like 75-gallon tanks on the side that held hydraulic oil. And I was just supposed to top one off. I think we had like a fluid leak or something, replaced a hose. And we had those pumps that came down, in the reel, and had to it was like a gun. And of course we had zip ties that we just put over the handle. So we just put it in the tank and let it pump up. And I pulled this thing over top of this grease pit. And then I
I
decided,
I know where this is going.
hey, I'm going to go get us breakfast. So I left the rock mine, went to the town, grabbed some breakfast, came back.
Some good sausage biscuits.
And that thing never stopped pumping out of a 250-gallon hydraulic tank. And I didn't fill up the grease pit, but basically there was hydraulic fluid all in 250 gallons in the grease pit of hydraulic fluid. Yeah.
Did they fire you for that?
No, they needed help. So I started operating heavy equipment from that point on. But yeah, it was.
Wow.
So did you actually operate the equipment instead of work on it after that?
Yeah. Yeah. I did some things there too. I was young. I was probably 18 years old, 17, 18 years old.
I didn't even know you were that young.
Yeah. I wasn't married yet.
Okay.
Then got married, had kids. Well, actually got married, went to the military, worked on tanks in the military. And then, just trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, and served 6 years there. I decided I wanted to change things up, and I was going to get, everyone comes to Nashville for the music industry, and I wanted to swap it up. I did a lot of music things, was into sound engineering. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take my 1-year-old, my wife, and we're going to go all the way across the country and go to Arizona to
You went to Arizona?
no, I didn't. This is where the story gets crazy.
It takes a twist.
Yeah, it takes a twist.
Quick, what state were you in? This was happening.
I was in Virginia at the
Okay.
time.
All right.
I was working in Virginia, and was there for like 2 years, and was going to move my family over because I was going to go to the School of Recording Arts and Sciences. So basically it's just a music school. And before I did, my brother, who manages Sales Fix, was a professional drummer, and he was on tour. And he realized that was probably a stupid move. He's like,
your move was a stupid move.
my move was a stupid move.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, before you go all the way to Arizona, why don't you just go ahead and come over here? We need a road manager for our tour. You can do sound here, just kind of get your feet wet, see how it goes. So I moved to Nashville and went on tour for about 1.5 years, and it was fun. I couldn't support my family doing it. So,
And you're gone a lot.
yep. So I got out of that and just started doing a few different odd jobs, but I started selling cars, and I sold cars for, probably a year, maybe 2 years.
Is this a dealer?
Yeah, at a Mazda dealer. And through church, I met a guy, and he was like, hey, I got a friend has a repair shop, and cool guys, they're looking for a service advisor. So I was like, all right. I didn't like car sales. The hours were horrible. It's weekends, nights, and holidays.
How soon was this before you met Aaron? Was that right at the end of that?
No, we met at the interview. We didn't know each other before.
Yeah, no, we didn't know each other before.
So we had my buddy Trevor. I think you even know Trevor.
Oh, okay.
I had tried to talk to him and see who he knew. I was calling everybody I knew at church, just reaching out to different people, and he knew him. He put us together, and then
Wow.
went from there.
I was trying to figure my life out. And from car sales, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go. I've got the GI Bill. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to get into computers. Well, I waited too long. The GI Bill ran out. So I was like paying for school and met Aaron through a friend. And I think I was on my way to work and stopped by and met Aaron. And he's in this white t-shirt and jeans running all over the place.
You had to be like, what the heck am I getting into?
Well, I knew. So our friend said he likes dirt bikes and stuff. And I love that stuff. I never was into, I could never afford it, but I was just like, yeah, let's get into that stuff. So I didn't even care about the job, honestly. I was just like, hey, let's have a good time.
Yeah.
And I had to support my family. So,
Yeah.
so I meet Aaron. I don't know. You were busy, like talking to customers, and
I do remember you showed up, and I'd never seen this before. He had a pressed polo, like had the creases going on the sides, and I was like, "Whoa!" And I remember I was intimidated because I was like, "Dude, I'm living in a single wide. He's not kidding. Like I had a jeans with the holes in the grease in them, a t-shirt.
You were in a single wide.
Didn't cross my mind that I didn't look appropriate for a customer. I didn't have that. I hadn't registered to me yet. So when TJ walked in, I was like, whoa, it was intimidating. I still remember.
I was good looking. He saw the,
we all see it.
Yeah. He was like, oh man.
Oh man.
I had the pleated pants even.
Did
back
you back
in the
then?
day,
I don't even remember that.
It was horrible.
But I do remember I was holding a broom talking to a customer, and he was like, here, let me take that. And I still remember that. And he grabbed that broom and he started sweeping. And I was like, huh. All right. This guy knows how to work.
Knows how to work.
Old pleated pants, yeah.
Old pleated pants steps right up.
He's stepping up. So,
wow. Well, so you came in. So you said about that time you guys were doing about 35.
Yeah, it was about the same as when you left. It hadn't really changed much. And I think, maybe we got in the high 30s, maybe by the time we finally joined our first 20 group. I just remember when we first joined a 20 group, 6 to 12 months in, we were battling to hit 60 grand. I remember.
Yeah, I remember 60.
That was like this.
That was a wall.
Huge number, and we couldn't get past it.
And it wasn't for lack of trying. We were working our butts off.
No, it felt harder than any wall I'd ever hit, honestly. It felt harder than hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in multiple locations because we didn't know what we didn't know. So when you only know like gross profit and average ticket and car count, and there's like 50 other stats you should know, but we only knew 3, you're beating your head against the wall because you just don't know. I wish we could go back and look at the data. We could probably have figured out what was going on, but we didn't know.
Yeah.
Well, and also I feel like we were trying to, like we literally were trying to help people. I think, you know, and we'd put way more into a vehicle and would charge way less than what we should have. And
we were doing the QCs and the mini cleans back then by hand.
I feel like we thought we could like if we worked harder, we would win.
That's probably the simplest way to put it.
Yeah. And we just didn't have any of the.
And and to give you I need to say this, when I say by hand, what I mean by that QC being by hand, we didn't use a pressure washer. We wiped all the wheels, the brake dust off the wheels with a rag, dry.
Yeah, I have arthritis in my finger.
I remember us doing that.
Going in those wheel holes.
All the spokes.
No,
we did that on every car. We wiped the brake dust off. Back then, we didn't have all the fancy brake pads and the ceramic brake. Like it existed, it just wasn't common. And so we were doing Saabs mostly, and they all had horrible brake dust.
Yeah.
And we would be out there by hand, rubbing these things down and cleaning them up and then vacuuming them out.
We would be wiping the seats down with Pledge because
oh yeah, we did. The lemon
didn't want the seats to squeak.
Yep, we didn't because back then you had the plastic housings on the side where the seats went from leather to vinyl, and these Saabs would squeak real bad right there.
Yeah,
all the cars squeaked bad back then. They didn't have all the felt in all the places like they do today. And yeah, we did all kinds of little tricks trying to make the cars better and give a better experience to the customer that we did not get paid for.
Yeah, I think though going back, that was I remember the discussions about pricing at the time back when I was there, and us thinking about raising rates and stuff like that and per hour, and there was always a component of helping people and trying to doing things for people that ultimately were probably sinking the business.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, there's a lot of people who are, they have that challenge of pricing things appropriately to keep themselves into business to help people when they might be going out of business. Guess what? That's going to limit you from helping people.
I still remember.
Guess what?
If you're out of business, you can't help people. So you should be careful. I mean, but
I remember
that's the kind of trap we were in.
Yeah.
Right before you left, a guy came in. We'd done head gaskets on a Saab V6 900 SE.
I know exactly the story.
And I think our bill, I don't even remember the dollar amount. I want to say our bill was $3,000. And the guy came in and he offered us half. And we were like, and this was before we had the wall, and you could just see the one.
Yeah.
The place was empty. You could see just the one lift. And we were like, we need the $3,000. And he's like, well, I don't have it. I've got 1,500 and I can pay you today. Or you can just wait for months until I get the money and I'll come back then. But he didn't do it like I feel sorry for me. I don't have the money. He did it in a, I'm going to take advantage of you and stick it to you type way. And I still to this day remember that and so angry thinking about it. But I know what goes around comes around. But we let that thing go because we needed to pay our bills so badly.
So I don't know if you remember this. I'm sorry, this is a little hijack of the story because that same story, I knew you were going to say this one, and I knew it was $3,000 because it still to this day sticks in my head. So that guy
Over 20 years ago
had come into the office where I was at and talked about the repair. And at the time, I mean, I was learning how to do this, what to say, how do the taxes work on this thing, and how do you convey to the customer what the total price is going to be and what they should expect. And I remember talking to him, but there was some personal stuff going on in his life, and we got into personal stuff. I ended up praying for him.
Oh, yeah.
In the office. And I sat there and I was like, this guy needs somebody to pray for him. And so I sat and I prayed for him. And then the car got done and he comes in and he pulled this thing. And I was like,
with me and Jay both.
Take my prayer back.
I take it back. Yeah. No, Lord. But it was one of those, it was a moment where you're like, okay, I've got to release this.
Yeah.
Because you felt like you sowed, just something you were really trying to help a guy. And then he comes in and pulled that thing out. And there was something else with the price. Like he was like, well, you didn't tell me about how much taxes would be. And I'm like, buddy, when have you not paid taxes on something?
Right, yeah.
But it was all of those, like I remember the $3,000. And I remember sitting there praying for that guy in the office.
Was it a green Saab 9-3?
I think you're right.
It might have been.
I think it was a force.
Did he come back? Did you pray for him?
I don't know. I think it was just, it might have just been those V6 Saabs.
We had a lot of them.
Those were horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, those were early days that were hard. I mean, it was a lot of butt kicking and working our tails off. And I remember because I had the owner desk, TJ had a desk that was like
in the corner
and stuck next to
you weren't were you in the
desk.
galvanized steel building, the front area that we had to tear down?
No. He was in the original office that you and I were in.
Original office.
Oh, with me. And then we eventually built the plywood palace.
Yeah.
Moved into that. And for those that are listening, we had a 22,500 square foot warehouse, which was half an acre indoors.
And like 50-foot ceilings.
Yeah, ridiculous. Yeah. It was a huge space. And in the corner was one garage door with a ramp that went into it. There was a pedestrian door outside that no one used. And they all would drive up, honk, and we would run over there and with a chain, do it by hand in the winter and open it and shut it in the winter. And it just said, honk, we'll
honk for service.
Honk for service.
I think and we were next to it. We were next to a cemetery too.
Yeah.
So it's next to a cemetery.
Visible gravestones next to this.
I mean, I still remember that Saturday I got a call and they're like, boss, you better come down here. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And like, you just got to see it. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, you got to come down here. And I get down there and apparently, they have one of those little John Deere mini tractors with like a
full-size trailer on the back.
A full-size trailer that when they would dig a grave, they'd put the dirt in it to go hide the dirt somewhere else to keep the graveyard looking nice. Well, somebody didn't put the parking brake on. And this thing goes rolling down the hill. And right when it got to my building, the dirt was about even with the roof of our building. And then it went really steep straight down to a big concrete ditch and then went to our building. Well, this thing came rolling down this hill crazy fast, slammed into the ditch, bounced up, went through the wall, and crashed right in where a technician's workbench and toolbox was, right into a bay. Would have really hurt somebody if we'd had a car there, but it was a Saturday and we didn't. And I got down there and that tractor was, I remember calling, no one knew it was missing.
Yeah. They just forgot about it.
They forgot about it. I had to call the funeral home and they were like, what? I go, your tractor is in my shop. And they were like, what? And we had to call insurance. It was this huge ordeal. It was crazy.
Wow.
That was a crazy location, man.
It was wild. It was a destination for sure. So we were the Saab shop and we did Saabs and Volvos and people would come. And I think because we cared so much, they would come from Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
They would come from Georgia, Alabama, just to get service work done.
And no loaner cars.
And probably because we were really cheap too.
$60 an hour back then.
Yep. Oh my goodness.
And now a quick word from our sponsors. Establishing trust is the key to keeping customers. AutoVital's easy-to-use digital vehicle inspections ensure clear communication to build that trust, which increases your average repair order to drive growth. Establish a consistent inspection process and keep your customers coming back year after year with AutoVitals. Reach them on the web at autovitals.com/inspect. Again, that's autovitals.com/inspect. Keep your customers coming back. There's that moment after every job where you hand the customer the keys and they extend their hand for that handshake for a job well done. There's just nothing better than that. But those interactions don't happen if you don't reach out first. Upswell specializes in outreach for repair shops. At Upswell, you get a dedicated marketing consultant skilled in auto repair strategies to help you identify your ideal customer and create a campaign that hits the mark with perfect targeting, eye-catching design, and a compelling message to fuel your growth and get you more of those handshakes. Upswell handles it all. They even offer a free marketing assessment and 10% off your first campaign for all new customers. Get more customer handshakes, get more customers in the door, and get yourself an upswell of new business. Visit them online at upswellmarketing.com. Again, that's upswellmarketing.com. You can't build business without customers. So how do you get new customers? You get your shop on RepairPal, that's how. With the largest site for auto repair and the recommendation of their partners like USAA, CarMax, and Consumer Reports, RepairPal connects you with high-quality customers through RepairPal.com and their 90-plus partners. Millions of customers use RepairPal every single month looking for a good shop. So why shouldn't it be yours? Check them out at RepairPal.com/shops or visit them at Shop Hackers and booth 11 and 12. RepairPal, high-quality customers at your fingertips. And now back to the episode.
So yeah, it was crazy.
It was crazy. And the governor of Tennessee, Bill Lee, was our landlord back then. Bill had given us that space for, I think I was paying $2,000 a month. And he had a long-term lease on it for like 8 or 10, something like that back then. And so he was giving it to us at a major discount. And it was this crazy scenario. And he's now our governor, which is nuts, where we had this space and we made it work.
Yeah.
I do remember, little side story, that thing had another bay at the other end and most of the space was open.
Yeah.
And I do remember taking a Honda Civic that was barely running out said loading door.
We did that a lot, actually.
4 or 5 loading docks. And every time a customer would abandon a car, if we could get it running just for 5 minutes, we'd do it.
It wasn't just running. For some reason, we had a forklift.
Oh, yeah. We did have a forklift.
We would push it out there and put little Mikey in the seat of it and put a helmet on him. We're all about safety.
We did do that.
We'd run him out that door.
Yep.
See if
he thought it was hilarious.
A 6-foot drop.
One time we dropped a car off a forklift. It landed on its roof. And we had Mike crawl into it. And then we turned on the camera and acted like we had dropped him in it. And he crawled out.
Looking back, I think
no business with the shop.
Yeah. If people knew the fun we had inside, they probably wouldn't have brought the cars. We raced go-karts.
Yeah, we did do that one time. We even raced them all the way into the other space next door. It was a crazy time. But I mean, we learned so much. We grew that store to 160 a month. 160 a month, mind you, in 2007, 2008, that was a big store.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, that was a big store. That's like 250, 300 a day. And I want to say we weren't doing more. To do that revenue, we probably weren't even doing, I don't know, $130, $120 an hour with no bump and a very small parts matrix. I mean, yeah, it was much cheaper than it is today. That's for sure. And we did not know what we did not know, but we made up for it with heart and we worked our tails off. We used to handwrite everybody a thank you note too.
Yes.
Wow.
I like how he said we.
Carpal tunnel from that.
We used to. He would sign his name on. Well, I just remember writing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thank you notes. Then you'd sign.
Wow.
I wrote a lot.
You did.
Sincere.
You did.
So I want to go back just a bit because you mentioned hitting 60K at a ceiling.
Yeah.
What was that barrier? What got you past it?
I don't know. I mean, do you remember what the specifics were?
I feel like it was believing we could, a lot of it. sometimes it's a mind game where it's just.
So you think it was a sales issue?
Well, no, because, it's almost like for us, it was at that time we had technicians, but Aaron liked to hire,
Young kids.
kids from the youth group.
I was a youth pastor back then. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had
But sometimes
one
it was
real
just-
tech and then a bunch of kids.
Yeah. And sometimes it was just believing, okay, I'm going to hire this person and that's going to bring in more revenue into the store.
Yeah. I do think looking back, you're probably right. I think it was probably staffing.
And it was either, and we'd find different spots for that. Like it was, okay, this time it was a technician. Oh, we've got to bring someone on in the front office. And slowly we grew and added more people. And sometimes it was the wrong people.
Made a lot of mistakes. I remember we went and visited a guy who had a successful little one-man operation, but he made good money. And I remember the shop still. I don't even know if he's in business, so I don't want to repeat it. But he had inventory, and he used to brag to me that he had like $100,000 in inventory in this room. And I was like, man, that's what we need, TJ. We need inventory. And we had these shelves and shelves of Saab parts that I bought. And we ended up moving out of that space in like probably 2014, something like that, 2013. No, it was before that. I think it was like 2009 because we moved to the other downtown store.
Mhm.
And we threw it all away.
Yeah.
And I had spent, I don't know how much I had spent, but I thought that was the right way to do it. And we had shelves 10 foot tall with rotors and brake pads and belts and heater valves and hoses, all the common things that Saabs went out on, thinking that that's the right answer. And it wasn't.
No,
didn't make us a dime. Didn't make us a dime.
What, because you've seen all of it.
Mhm.
You've come through the start of all the shops, coaching programs, all the things that you're currently doing. What have you learned about yourself through that process? It's going to get deep, TJ.
That's
It's going to get real deep.
That is a deep question. What have I learned about myself?
What's been the most impactful thing you've learned?
Well, I think it goes back to, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up Aaron's butt, but the reason I came wasn't just because I came to the Saab shop and worked for Aaron. It wasn't just because there was dirt bikes and four-wheelers and I saw a bunch of guys who like to have fun. That was a little part of it. I felt that in my heart. But, Aaron originally, when I was in that interview, he said a lot of things, and I've shared this with some of our clients too, is he just said he had a vision. And sometimes that vision was crazy. I remember so we're in this metal building and it was just a ragtag group of guys, but they were all working together. And he's like, one day I'm going to, what was it? A car company. You wanted a
car manufacturing company.
Yeah. He was like,
wouldn't mind it.
Oh Lord.
Hang on, TJ.
But he would say, I wanted, and I just was like, wow. Like I couldn't see how he was going to do it, but he had such confidence in saying it that I wanted to follow him. And I think really that's what drew me in. Like, hey, we're going to do something. It might not end up being that. It might be something else. But I think I recognized that early on. And even to this day, we can do personality tests and all the things that we go through. And you can say, oh, yeah, Aaron's a visionary or Aaron's this. But I think any leader needs to have a vision and just confidence that they can get there. They're maybe not sure how at that point, but I think that's, for me, it was just believing in, because I've worked for a lot of people up until that point, even though I was young, but it was just taking that step, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just being able to follow someone like Aaron.
I would also say, I didn't know on the how part, I didn't know sometimes when talent was staring me in the face, and TJ early on had an ability to see talent. And so, not to blow smoke up his butt.
Oh, well, you go ahead and blow.
Let's go. But TJ's like,
you maybe edit that out.
I still remember there were several key people that TJ's like, you need to save this person. You got to save this person. One of them was Thomas Hayes. One of them was his own brother, Guy Roberts. People that ended up working for us 10, 15 years later still work here now. And there were others. And I think that sometimes for me, it would be the abstract, and TJ would be like, you need to understand what's going on at home. You need to understand what, they maybe have this talent or ability. They don't have confidence, etc. And the ability for him to put it into words that I could understand to make a very impatient person patient on a particular situation or a person. And there would be a lot of times that I would be ready just to hire the next person, didn't maybe want to fire somebody, but I was already like, there's got to be somebody else. And he'd be like, well, there might be this, there might be that. Or when I wouldn't be ready to hire somebody, and then he would meet him and he'd be like, well, I see this or I see that. And so I think that's been probably TJ's superpower as far as the entire organization goes, because we've always joked that TJ is good at culture, but I think, where does culture come from? The people, right? So you got to go, would I want to, I don't even drink, but if I wanted to have a beer with this guy, I'd want to hire this guy. But if I wouldn't, I would not hire this guy. So if I don't want to be around him having fun, why in the world would I want to be around him?
Yeah.
And so that was always a big thing. And I think you said the ragtag group, that really...
We were. I mean, I put myself in there. I just jumped right in.
I remember we got sued from GM.
Oh, yeah.
To change their name from Stop Shop. And you called your church and got the boardroom for free for us. And even the mechanics, all of us showed up wearing shirts and ties. And we had a, quote, business meeting. And we sat in that room until we came up with the name Eurofix, which was one of the mechanics, Lee, that came up with that. Yep. Still give him credit for that. He now is a lead tech at Ferrari. Good dude. And he came up with that name Eurofix that we now have nationally trademarked across the country. But at the time, we saw it as this horrible thing. We were being sued. It was a blessing.
Yeah, it actually broadened our horizons. I don't see many Saabs around anymore.
Yeah, we would have had to do something different.
Yeah, we would have had to. We were doing Saabs and Volvos, a lot of Volvos. Volvos were getting more and more. And then we changed it to Eurofix, and it just took off.
Mm.
Yeah. I think in the name was good branding.
Yeah.
It helped. It said what it did in the name. Wasn't complicated, wasn't difficult for people to understand. I think a lot of shop owners sometimes pick names that make sense to them, but not to the masses. And so, yeah, it worked very well. It exploded from there. And then from there, I think I still remember us doing loaner cars the first time, and then us doing 3-year warranties, and then everybody wearing shirts and ties. We did a lot of first time stuff in the marketplace that no one else was doing. And we went to a full, it was a mini clean, but it was a procedure. And so it was a dramatic difference from anywhere else you went with your car. And then that was a crazy transition. It was a very, very crazy transition. And you didn't question any of it. You're like, all right, let's go.
I think we would have some conversations, but you would sell me. I would fight back on some of it, but honestly, all it was, so Aaron always says I'm the brake and he's the gas pedal. And honestly, I think it was good for both of us. Yeah. Because sometimes a visionary can go really fast, and it would just make them think through that process a little more, maybe add a couple things.
I still remember the loaner car thing. I said, we're going to do it on every car, or at least make it available.
Yeah.
They didn't all do it. And I remember going, guys, we're going 135 an hour, and we're going to do this in every car. And TJ was like, oh, Lord. And he grabbed the arms
I said that
of
a lot.
his chair. He freaked out. And I still remember it. So obviously it had an impact on me. It made me go, well, maybe this isn't a good idea.
Yeah. But there was a couple times that happened. Lifetime oil changes.
Yep. And that was a bad idea. I pushed that, and TJ was like, I don't know. And then a year later, I was like, guys, I don't think we should do this anymore. Took us years to get that whittled out of the system.
So I'm gonna skip forward a little bit. There was one decision, because we moved so we went from 1 store to 2 stores. That was a scary move. And then we went to 3 stores, our store in Murfreesboro, which was an old car dealership, which seemed easier. And we were like, hey, we got this parking lot. We've got this old car dealership. And I don't know if you remember, because me and Aaron used to ride around in the cars together from store to store. It was really inefficient. But he's like, I'm thinking we do car sales. And coming from car sales, I didn't like it. I was like, oh, no, that's a bad idea. But you were a good salesman too, and you had all these.
Yep. We did go actually look at car sales and body shops. We flew up to upstate New York.
We did.
And we went and we investigated it.
Yep.
The problem was, looking back, we went to all the people that said car sales were great.
Yeah.
And we went to all the people that said body shop was bad. And we heard body shops are bad because the insurance company has their thumb on you. But what we didn't hear was you also have a consistent line of work. And it's very hard to be stolen from. And when we went to car sales, we went and saw people that were successful, but we didn't find anybody. And it was luck of the draw. Let's be real. It could have also gone the other way. We could have met people doing the opposite.
Absolutely.
But the fault on my end was we didn't keep researching and find negatives on car sales and keep researching and find positives on body shops. Had we found that and had a more balanced approach, maybe we would have made the same choice. Maybe we would not have. I don't know. But we definitely, we did 50% research. We didn't do 100% research. We should have done more because we investigated both, but we just didn't get people on both sides of both.
Well, and also feel like we took the same approach to car sales as we did auto repair. We were going to that car was going to be amazing before you got it. We put a ton into those cars.
Too much.
Yeah. But I guess my point with that intro to that story was there was times when, like, I didn't know if car sales was going to be good or bad. I just had a feeling. You can't always go off a feeling, but we were able to talk it out a little bit. But eventually we're both like, heck yeah, let's do this. There was also going to be some cool cars that we get to ride around in. It was
fun for a year.
That's the car I took to the Tail of the Dragon.
That's right, that BMW.
That BMW, yeah.
But when it was not fun, it was not fun.
Yeah.
It got bad.
It got really bad. And then we kind of took a little turn.
Little detour?
Little detour. So I guess at that point I was considered the regional manager of the stores. How many stores did we have at that time?
3, but somewhere around when we got stolen from in 2012 is when I acquired those 4 Midas stores.
Yeah.
It was around the same time. I can't remember.
I think it was a little bit.
I don't know if I was negotiating and then I got stolen from and then bought them, or if I bought them and then I got stolen from. I don't remember. I know it's in the data if I went back and looked.
Ultimately, I went back. Aaron was like, we need to batten down the hatches. And I went back into the 100 Oaks store. And that was hard. I knew it had to happen, but I felt like, we were winning. And I had to go back to manage the store. And we actually just talked about this the other day. I pouted a little bit for the first month. And the store did horrible. I think it was the worst month that store ever had.
Like, TJ, you're supposed to save this store.
Yeah. No, I was pouting. I was like, oh, but, I think it's all part of growth, right? You go through some amazing times, and sometimes, you got to do stuff you don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes store owners have to get back on the front counter because they just lost an amazing employee. They don't want to, but they either do it or the store goes under.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So I had to pick myself up by the bootstraps and just get back to work. And I think that next month after I got it out of my system, because I think I needed to see I wasn't waiting to see the numbers, but I was like pouting, and all of a sudden the number hit me at the end, and it was like, oh, well, this doesn't look good at all.
You saw the reason for it.
I think we did like 130K.
I don't even remember.
130, 135.
The store was doing 220, 240. And in the midst of the theft, we had a manager leave because they were nervous.
Yep.
Rightly so.
Yep.
And then you had to step in.
That next month, we got back to work. I had a couple of amazing advisors. I had a lot of amazing techs in that store. And we hit a record that held for a very long time.
What was it?
I want to say it was like 260.
Yeah.
was like 260, and that was the highest at that moment. Now they've killed that record. It was a good feeling. It wasn't long after that. I think it was that I got back out of that store and started managing the rest of the stores that we had, because we had a plethora of them at that time.
What changed for you after you came back out of the store? Did it give you a different perspective? Did anything change?
I don't know if anything. Oh, well, I guess yes, because I think, I don't know about Aaron, but when you're winning, whether you're working for somebody or the owner, you don't think you can lose. And
Helps confidence.
That was like, oh, something bad can happen, and I gotta, that healthy paranoia you talk about.
Yep.
I just need to make sure I'm always on my game, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And does that mean I'm always perfect? No, but I think that was a eye opener for me.
Any moment, something can go wrong.
Yeah.
To any of us.
Any moment you could be roosted by a buddy. Just gotta be prepared.
That's true. Yeah, that was a crazy time. And I remember all of us digging deep, and it was scary. We lost a lot of good people then.
Yes.
And it was a bummer. And I get it. They were afraid. They were trying to provide for their families. But that 3-year window from 12 to 15 was rough. It was rough. And it shows the power of having good books and knowing that you can stay on top of somebody. And one of the reasons our books are so tight today, because of what I know and the rest of this team knows is possible if somebody gets their hand in the cookie jar, and what they can do to ruin a good business. And so props to TJ and another group of, I don't know, probably 6 to 10 people that stuck it out, didn't leave, and really helped save the company and turn it around. And that is honestly why we have so much depth and experience and wisdom in the group today.
I'm glad I left, man. I never left.
Oh, you had a huge part in it too.
No.
Yeah.
That's great, man. I didn't realize when you came in at that start in Southeast Parkway.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I didn't
It was right after.
realize that.
Yeah, months. Huh. And then the crazy part was when the coaching then takes off, TJ's running stores, and all of a sudden it starts getting crazy. And I'm like, crap, I need help. I think you were the first guy I pulled. I think Thomas was second. I think Guy was third, because Guy ended up being the next district manager.
Yeah. So me and Guy managed this.
And Guy,
there was like 9
for those listening.
There was 9 of them, I think. We split them up because it was hard to get to all the stores.
We had 2 dud stores.
Yeah, we
Smyrna
had
and downtown that we had to dump.
And it wasn't just the store. We had some employee issues we had to work through. But yeah, so, and then I think there was one day I remember in your office at the Franklin store that's today. Yep. I just went in and sat down with Aaron and was like, hey, he had started the coaching company, and we were a part of it, but I was like, I want to focus on this.
Yeah, you were like guest appearances kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think I had 80, 90 clients, 100 clients. It was right before the 100. I don't remember the exact number.
And Aaron was like, are you sure? I really don't know where this is going to go. And I was like, yeah. The idea of something more than just fixing cars, it was helping people out. And, I think through that whole time that we were running the stores and involved in other coaching companies, I mean, we created friends in those groups, and we almost created our own little community within those groups. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to be a part of that. So, and then shortly after, it started to take off and brought Guy in to help coach. So then it was me, Thomas, and Guy coaching.
Yeah, I think you were first, Thomas was second, Guy was third. I think we started planning on it, but then it was can Joe switch over and do office, because he'd been just managing technicians, and Joe's like, I can do this. And so then it was like, okay, what's the timing? And then we eventually got Joe switched. And then all 3 of you had your first coaching groups of roughly 30 people each. And I was just running on the back of a napkin. There was no organization up to like 100 people. It was just me, and then I remember around 280 is when we got Thomas to take over sales. But at the same time, Crystal got involved. And that was the first step and Crystal runs all of our events. But that was the first step of truly organizing ShopFix, first big step in treating it like a real company. The stores were still a priority until about 280 clients. The stores in my mind were still, I kept thinking ShopFix was going to blow up tomorrow. Like, this isn't going to go anywhere. And it happened so fast and grew so quickly. I think we were all still in overwhelm trying to wrap our heads around it.
Right.
And when we brought Crystal on, because these guys were always with me. So it just kind of, to me, felt like the ragtag group of guys again.
Yeah.
Except now we were in a coaching company. You know, it still didn't, we were just goofing off, having fun. We worked hard. We liked talking to people, but we didn't know what we didn't know about the coaching industry. We had to figure it out. And to this day, that's honestly been a benefit because it caused us to do it totally different than everybody else. But I do think, looking back, it wasn't until we started nearing 300 members that all of a sudden I was like, this is a real company. We need to do something with this. Yeah. It was an LLC. It was a real business. But in my mind, the stores were still by far larger and more important. And the stores to this day are still larger. But I still, we've got 13 locations now, and they still do more revenue than ShopFix. But ShopFix has rapidly grown, and I do see it eventually passing the stores in the next year or two. It's been crazy watching as we've gotten rigid, and I don't like using that term. I like flexible. Rigid is not a fun term for me. That sounds like, not having a good time.
Well, it changes.
But as we've gotten larger, we've had to. And the team has helped bring that together. And that's not just TJ, that's also his brother. His brother has a huge role in the company right now. Thomas had a huge role in growing it where it is. Joe has a huge role in the stores now. I mean, Joe is the guy. Christy, she's been here forever, and she's over there helping Joe. We have a lot of longtime players from back then.
Yeah.
Mike Baker, and then Daniel.
Yep.
There's a lot of, from that core group that are still around. Phil,
yeah.
That we still got around, that without them, there'd be nothing. And so it's pretty special. Where we've gotten to.
I think it's wild because we starting off the coaching company. So you have 100, 150 clients, and we were able to do a lot of cool things, which were exciting and fun, but it's kind of like growing the shop. We had a lot of fun in the store when we had one store in a big empty space, and we did race cars in the,
just like you and I race buses whenever we're driving
race buses
for ShopFix.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't be driving the buses anymore. Probably a liability nightmare.
Probably not a good thing.
Yep.
From a skill set perspective or insurance.
But it changes, and it's just different. It's not like it's because, sometimes your clients see, we're not that small group. We're not going to the porch that only seats 50 people and we slam 70 in there, which is just a dive restaurant. That was fun, and it was an experience. If we stopped there, I think the culture dies, because now you're just a club. You're not changing lives. You're not affecting more people.
That's right.
So I think it's just wild to see the change and how it evolves.
Yeah, it's got to evolve.
Yeah.
In order to grow.
Well, and I still remember when we capped it at 100 members.
Oh, yeah.
And we capped it at 100 members, and I think
there's still some members that remember when you capped it at 100 members.
And I remember being on the peninsula at Punta Mita at the Four Seasons in Mexico, and I was at an event, and a guy named Vinny, it was Tony Grebmeyer was there, but another guy named Vinny Fisher was there, and Vinny got in my face, and he said, "What about the 101st chair?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He said, "The 101st chair, you have 100 chairs in a room, every one of them's full, but you have 101 chairs available and one chair is empty. Are you telling me that guy can't sit in that chair?" I was like, "Dude, well, if I had to go to 101, it wouldn't be the end of the world." And he's like, "Well, what about 102? And he said, "If God gave you a talent, you cannot stop this from happening. He has put the right people in your path and around you to pull this off. It is not your job to put the lid on it." And that rocked me to the core. So then it was like, well, how do I undo this? And he said, "That's not my problem."
That was a bad decision.
Have a great night.
Yeah. So we had to undo it. And then, that's when we went from $1,000 a month to $1,200 a month. Never have, changed our prices now in 7 years. But that happened, and that happened all around that situation. from that guy giving us a different perspective.
Mhm.
And I still remember that was one of the scariest big decisions I made with ShopFix was letting it go to 101 members. Like that was like, oh my gosh. And I got hammered for that. But you're right. If you look at it today, all these other members would not be helped.
Yeah, there was the 100 members, and then there was also, are we going to have a member next to another member in the same area? And we struggled with that too.
Oh, yeah.
But that was the same lid because, I mean, if you're in our area here in Franklin, Tennessee, there's a lot of ShopFix members in the area, Middle Tennessee. And I think that was actually pretty awesome. We got some amazing neighbors that are clients. And I think it really just made you think about, what's that saying?
There's enough cars for everybody.
That and
I'd rather compete on
high
service
tide
than
raises
price.
all ships, right?
Yeah.
So we're just upping our game. And if everybody ups their game, you know, it just makes everybody better. There's no competition, right? The only competition you have is yourself.
I think if we go back to the whole vision is change the industry.
Yeah.
Guess what the industry is? It's a bunch of shops. It's not just a few shops.
It's also your shop next door and across
It's your
the
neighbor.
street,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
even the one you don't like.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is, if he's half your price and he steals a job from you because of that, then not only is he stealing from your family,
He's stealing from his.
he's stealing from his.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't even know it. He's going to go out of business. It's just a matter of time, like we were back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to. He just doesn't know it yet. And so he's working a gazillion hours a week. His family never sees him. He's dragging the industry down. And so many of us have done that. And the crazy part is when you really pause and you stop and you go, but wait, if that guy, so-and-so across town could just be the same price as me. And then the difference is, did we just answer the phone better? Were we nicer? Was our shop cleaner? Did we do a better job on the repair itself? Well, then now, if I get the job, I make money. If he gets the job, he makes money. But the industry does better and is healthier, which means all the technicians are getting better jobs. The advisors are getting better jobs. The customers are getting better service.
Well, it also forces you to always be trying.
Level up.
We learned a lot of lessons, and we're going to learn more.
We all have. Yeah. We're still young. That's the crazy part. My back's hurting.
I feel old.
Let's just say, who are you talking about?
Yeah.
I am having some back pain. I got to be careful. I'm moving this chair.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
But no, God's been good. It was key that TJ showed up when he did, and that you weren't responsible for bringing on some of those other people, but you were for bringing your brother on, and you were specifically for saving Thomas and a few others. And so then after that, you started spotting talent, but you really start thinking about it. Every person has played a role. I certainly didn't get here by myself. He didn't get here by himself. Like it's all of us have. It's a team. And there's a lot of people we've probably forgotten that we need to give credit to that really helped pull this off.
Yeah.
That may not even work with us anymore, you know, but they were here for a reason, for a season.
Yep.
It was a good time. We do need to go to dirt bike riding again.
Do you think you can ride in the dirt?
Think you could ride on the street?
No. Not keep up
No,
with you.
I don't think I could ride on the dirt.
Well, I
When
don't
you
even know
get
if
your
I
surgery on Friday.
I have surgery on Friday. Yeah. A few days.
You know, he's racing his Husqvarna on the street right now
Yeah, I know.
in the old man class
Not on the street, but on the track.
Track, yeah.
on the track, but it's street, it's pavement.
That's right.
Can you put dirt tires on it?
Yeah, I could.
Could you really?
No, I don't think
He doesn't
so.
want to scratch it.
The
He'd rather
suspension's
just
all
borrow-
set up for the
Oh,
track.
yeah,
He can
It-
just borrow one
It'd
of
be
mine.
way different, be way too firm for the dirt.
Yeah.
I'll let you borrow my 200,
I'll
my 2 hundo.
I'll do all right on a 200.
All right. We'll have to do that. Or, you know, what other toys you got?
We can go side by side. He was like, "What else?"
We gotta get in the dirt.
Yeah.
We gotta get. I will
That's the
say it
special
doesn't. It
times.
doesn't matter the medium. You can roost anybody.
Yeah.
With anything in the
You-
water.
You did. You
in
did
the
on a
dirt,
jet
in
ski
the mud,
a
in
week
the
ago.
rocks. Yeah,
I did it with
And then-
Berg and the Broncos.
You did.
See?
Of course you did.
it's
But
an
at least you can-
international-
It's a talent.
yeah.
It's
It's,
a
Not many people,
Maybe you'll break it and that'll teach you.
maybe. But-
How do you do it in a Bronco? Are you revving it in neutral and slamming it in drive?
No, I didn't roost him. That you'd break windshields doing that. He was going slowly through a puddle and with his window down, and I flew through it. Yeah,
and you nailed him. Okay,
yep, got him good.
Into his cab.
A little bit.
Again, brotherly affection.
You know, that's when you know when someone cares about you.
See?
So they look at you and they go, "Oh, that was good." You know,
You got me.
yeah, you got me.
You got me.
Yeah,
Is that what it's called? Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
But it was good.
TJ, this has been fun. It's been fun to see you guys talk about the genesis of all of this. and
Yeah, we haven't
where it's
done
come
this on
from, and-
any of the other podcasts. I didn't
No.
expect it to go here. Yeah.
Mm.
I'm remembering stories I've forgotten.
I wanted to take it there.
Oh, okay.
There's many more.
Oh, there's
yeah.
a ton of stories when you do a
Oh,
part
yeah.
2.
There is many more.
But I like my job, so I don't want to tell all the, you know,
All the stories.
yeah,
All the dirt.
how he used to make us stay in one bed on those.
Okay.
Dude,
and on that note,
on those trips.
I would literally take 4
Okay, that
people-
sounds bad. I didn't mean for it to sound that bad.
I took 4 people
One
to
room.
a training conference.
one room for
One room. This is the funny thing. People sit here and tell me about training and how they can't do this, can't do that. I'm like, we literally,
Yeah, we made it
every
happen.
conference, 4 people, and we would get one room with 2 queen beds, and we'd all rotate through the shower. I did that for years because I was so serious about training.
You always
And we had
picked
no
me.
money.
I was always this bed buddy for some reason.
It's good.
I don't
You
think I
snore.
picked you.
It's good.
You did, like TJ.
I
I said yes, sir.
I snapped my finger and pointed at
Yeah.
the bed.
This is crossing over the line.
Is it the line? Well,
Our issue.
good thing we can edit.
Oh my gosh. No, the audience loves it. I mean,
There,
the people want it. They want the details.
no,
I don't know.
no, the people don't. There was, I mean, there's stories with Mike Brewster involved.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
What a good guy. Such a bad influence. And he would laugh and say that's correct. He's
Yeah.
a good man.
yeah.
I love that guy.
There was some great times. But anyways,
It's been
thanks,
fun.
Jay.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for
fun.
having me.
Thanks. All right.
Hey, you're welcome.